when it comes to money, what is that one common belief that people inherit from their Indian families? And that turns out to be a very expensive belief.
Playing the blame game.
I think what interesting guess then.
The ceilings are the beliefs. And until unless you challenge your beliefs, you will not grow.
So today we have Gitika Moore, who had a very interesting pivot in her career from HR to the world of neuro-linguistic programming.
Understand NLP and you understand anyone's behavior, their body language, things like that, then you don't have a conflict, but you try to bridge the gap.
I think at least will make an impact on your life, on your career and on your money.
If you're operating anything in a negative state of mind, your outcome to that situation will also be negative.
Very powerful way that I'll take this conversation forward and try to implement it in my life.
If they repeat the number and it comes with that confidence, the same confidence, then they will be able to negotiate better.
So give us any one example again where you see that they've just inherited free of charge a limiting belief.
We also have this 7 psychology needs.
What is exactly? Is it depression, anxiety, some belief?
I would say it's the classic case of burnout.
What are the things that one can work upon to become a better negotiator?
कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे.
Hello. So in this podcast today, हमारे साथ एक बहुत interesting guest है. I always use the word interesting because it takes a lot of time for us to bring out these curated episodes with people who I think at least will make an impact on your life, on your career and on your money. These are 3 things which we have been trying over a decade to address through these podcasts, through my content, etc. So today we have Gitika Moore, who had a very interesting pivot in her career from HR to the world of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. And me and she are almost contemporaries. 2006 to 8 is when she had done her MBA. So if you could very quickly tell us, Gitika, about your journey. And just to tell you, the audience here is someone in the age group of 18 to 25 and then 25 to 45 broadly, who wants to understand about careers, money, life. And that's what has been the USP of our content on LinkedIn and YouTube. So just if you could start with your journey.
Sure. So first of all, hello everyone. I come across with 15 plus years of experience within the HR gamut. Started my career with recruitments and then moved within the different functions within HR function. There, after working for a long time within HR function, dealing with a lot of people, employees, that became my forte, and I loved interacting with people, and more of that, tried understanding of the behavior, why they are doing certain things the way they are doing it, and why somebody else. So for example, say if I have to give you, when we shortlist a CV for example, and when we go through the interviews, a person having same caliber, in the sense the same type of qualification, same experience, but still one is giving an excellent performance, wherein the same guy with similar experience cannot perform. So that's what kind of always had this question in my mind, that why is this thing happens. And that motivated me when I heard about neuro-linguistic programming. So before that I also did my psychology, but again did not get a clear-cut answer to my queries, and hence it motivated me to do NLP, understand what NLP is and how does it work. And that actually answered a lot of questions in terms of understanding the human psychology and how they work, how they operate, because a lot of people would have this question as to what is NLP. And trust me, many times it also happens when I meet people and I say that I've done NLP, they kind of hesitate to interact with me also, because a perception that goes in their mind is like, either you will manipulate me or you will hypnotize me or something like that. However, it's not really like that. So NLP is more in terms of where uh, your thought process, the language that you use to express your feelings, your emotions, and your body language, it combines all three put together uh, to explain or put up your thoughts in the appropriate manner and in the most effective way. It also works on the state of your mind in which you operate. So that also helps a lot in terms of achieving what you want to achieve.
Okay. So let me ask you one question that in HR, you would have seen a lot of smart people who were failing in slow motion. So when did you
Hmm.
realize that the problem was not resume?
So, like I've given the example earlier, that when we go for campus interviews, also, right, they all go through the same classes, the same teachers are giving lectures to them, they are having the same kind of knowledge that they go through within their graduation years, right? They all get the same platform to learn, but it also depends on what kind of state you are grasping that emotion, or that knowledge, I would say. So
Hmm.
it depends a lot in that state of mind, and that I did not understand at that point in time, right? Because when we interview those people, those employee or those candidates rather, they, one is like super confident, use appropriate words, knows what to say, how to say, and where to stop.
Hmm.
Wherein the other person, when they are explaining certain scenarios or explaining about themselves, they just get lost in just explaining about, tell me about yourself. That's like one of the common question, or the first question which HR or any interviewer for that matter, they speak. And any interview, if you go through, in the first 5 or 10 minutes, it's decided whether this candidate will go through, pass through, or not. So, tell me about yourself is an important aspect wherein a lot of people, candidates get lost as to
That's right.
how they put across themselves across the interviewers.
So
So,
now
that plays a major
NLP,
role.
so therefore will sound something, it is sold at an airport bookstore, something very exotic, hypnotizes, as you said, that someone will hypnotize you. But then, from a very practical perspective, I would want to understand that why should someone even take it seriously?
See, like I said, people, it's the perception that they come from, right? And if I have to talk about why they should take it seriously, because uh, we carry a lot of thought process that has been entailed in us since childhood, right? Which we do not realize, and it does impact in our future roles that we play, or for that matter, any role. If say I have to give an example of a corporate life, I remember there was this one leadership program that I was doing, and there was this person who said, I'm not a people person. He was managing a team of people and fairly he was doing good. But he still had that thought, that limitation within himself, that he is not a people person. So when I started interacting with him and using a few NLP tools, when I tried drilling it down, that where did that thought came from, that he's not a people person, was actually linked to his childhood, wherein he was always told that he's not a fun loving person, or he's too serious, he doesn't know how to kind of interact with other people. So that was like one thought which maybe his family members or his friends, they had entailed in him, that he cannot uh, interact with people around him. And that thought kind of stayed with him until today. That kind of made it believe him, or it became his belief that he's not a people person.
Okay.
Right, and now that is impacting on his career as well, because though he is doing decently well, but because of that limiting belief, he can perform much better and become a much better leader. But because of that belief, it is kind of restricting him to just being an average leader.
So that belief is what NLP will work upon.
Definitely, because NLP works on changing the patterns, interrupting the patterns that you are operating in, challenging it, and reframing the thought process so that you can widen your territory and think beyond, think out of the box, and grow in your career.
Okay. So now let's say we'll have one specific section on career. So we
Mm-hmm.
will have, let's say you would have seen a lot of great performers who do well throughout the year, but when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to promotion, uh, they are invisible and they miss the bus. So then from an
Right.
NLP perspective, what are the patterns that you have found are common in such people? What is it that someone is not telling them that is acting as a roadblock to their success? That you are working hard throughout the year, but when it comes to promotions, you are missing it out.
Right. See, that's a common problem. And most of the organizations, you will see that people who actually work on the ground level, they are the actual worker, they perform. But because they are again restricting themselves to market themselves, they don't know how to market themselves. That is one thing. Okay. That is more of an HR answer, I would say, that they don't know how to market themselves. And the other thing is, it's again the belief that they come from is they have been told, or during their childhood or during their past experience, I would say, they come with a certain belief that if you showcase your worth, you are being arrogant. Or if you prove or you say that, okay, I am doing this or I have done this, it's being arrogant. And maybe because I had this case, one interesting case, wherein this person, he was he was always very this thing outbound and this thing. But then when during her childhood, there was an experience wherein this person was again told not to showcase. I mean, don't be greedy, you should not showcase. You should believe that uh, when you are working, or if you pay or if you work rightly, or if you, it will pay off. You remember, our parents, they have always told us this, that good work always gets paid, you don't need to ask for it. Right. And that's the belief that they come up with, and that restricts them to kind of showcase their work at the right forum or market themselves accordingly, because that is the belief, and that belief is
That
restricting them.
belief that you should not be greedy. If it's supposed to
Yes,
come to you, it will come automatically when the right time comes. So
exactly.
don't ask for it is something that created a whole challenge.
Right.
Interesting. Any other story, Gitika, where someone came up with a career problem? I'm not asking for names, but you
Mm-hmm.
found trends which were completely unexpected under the hood. Okay, and then how did you solve that problem from a career perspective?
See, there have been a lot of scenarios. If I remember, there was this girl who came up to me, wherein she was in her mid 30s, I would say. She said that she's doing good. She has always been praised and things have been happening. But what happened was that this lady, every time she went for her performance discussions or any discussions with her managers and stuffs like that, they always told her that you need to be more strategic. You're not strategic enough to be going to the next level, right? So for the next level, we need someone more powerful, or more someone who can take charge of things more appropriately. You need to work on those aspects. She tried doing a lot of things. She read books, she attended trainings and stuffs like that. And that's when she came to me asking that, give me tools, give me techniques, how can I be more strategic, right? And that's when we started working on the NLP timeline tool. That's when we understood, or we got to know that the problem was again linked to her family, some instance that had happened, right? So what happened was, I just asked a simple question. When you go to a meeting room to present a presentation, how does it make you feel? Because that's when you need to be the most powerful person, because you need to speak, right?
Hmm.
So how does that make you feel? She said it makes her feel scary.
Ah, okay.
And when I asked, so what are the other things that scares her? And that's when there were multiple questions around that, but that's when it was revealed that the most powerful person in her family, where she grew up, was actually the most unsafe person for her.
Oh,
And when she went for when she used to go for the presentation, that scariness used to restrict herself of being confident and face everyone around, because of the terrific experience that she had in her past.
okay.
Okay, and that's when we started working on her belief, and kind of reframing the patterns that she had the belief about. Because obviously the past instances, we cannot change that. What we can, in NLP we can do, is reduce the impact of those incidents, so that it doesn't uh, kind of restrict your future in any manner. So that's what we did, and in 3 months time, she was confident enough to present things and stuffs like that, and she went through, she got a promotion as
Oh,
well.
I'm so glad that that happened. Because similarly,
Yeah.
the last very quick one on the career theme, when it comes to negotiation again, some of us
Hmm.
by design naturally are good negotiators, and some again. So negotiating on salaries, negotiating on promotions, negotiating on assignments, outstation postings, travel. So career means a lot of negotiation. So if I'm a freelancer, I have to
Right.
negotiate on my rate per hour, or the project fee, or the salaries that I will pay
Hmm.
someone else. In negotiation, what are the things that one can work upon to become a better negotiator?
Right. So, for being a good negotiator, first of all, you need to believe in what you are asking for. Okay. So, for example, a lot of times you will see when, say, HR also asks you, what is it that you're expecting? I'm expecting around, they're like not very confident. Okay, I'm expecting, say, 30 lakhs. I'm expecting around, say, 25 to 30 lakhs. That confidence is not there in their sound when they speak about it. That is the problem. So and if you see, in NLP we say that we have three states of mind. Okay, and in those three states of mind, one is the beta stage, which is a normal stage which we all operate in. Okay, and in beta stage you have anxiety, you have anger, you have happiness, you have joy, you have misunderstanding, you have everything, confusion, everything in that state. Okay, and then there is theta stage, which is your meditation. When you meditate, that's when your brain goes to the theta stage, which is where you have calmness, you have relaxation and stuffs like that, but that's not a longer stage. And then you have alpha stage. So in alpha stage, you are more productive, you are logical, and you are confident. You know what you're doing, what you're asking for. Okay, so in NLP, when we work with people, we take their brain to the alpha stage. And if they continue practicing a few things that we say, they will always be in the alpha stage, which is they will always know what they are talking about. And if, say, they are asking for 30 lakhs, they will be confident enough to ask for it. They will have reason, logical reasoning behind why they are asking for for that 30 lakhs. Same time, there's another this thing. Secondly, what they need to do is they need to anchor themselves. So for when I say anchoring, anchoring is like remembering one of the most um, achievable scenario that they have achieved in their past. Think about that scenario, which will boost their confidence instantly. And in that state, if they repeat the number and it comes with that confidence, the same confidence, then they will be able to negotiate better.
Oh, that's a very, very nice technique. That if you can anchor it on some past success while you are in a stress situation, your mind will work far more efficiently. My God, this is
Exactly.
fantastic.
Right.
Okay, now moving to the next section on life. So, in the course of NLP, people open up with you in front of you,
Hmm.
and what would be that one pattern that you see in Indian professionals where they got inherited, they inherited a pattern which was detrimental to your success, but that was something which was gifted to them from the generations. When you say, no, you kind of inherit also trauma. It is multi-generational trauma or multi-generational limiting belief. So give us any one example again where you see that they've just inherited free of charge a limiting belief, a trauma, and that has.
Uh, I would say one belief that has been inherited since ages would be kuch to log kahenge, right? You always need what I would say approval from people around you. आप कुछ भी करो, what will this person think? What will that person think? You're doing this, see that person is doing that. They always have reference, or they will seek approval from the outside world. And that is the biggest challenge, I would say, that an individual can have, because that restricts them from innovation thought process, thinking out of the box. That restricts them because, again, if they are thinking, first thing that will come to mind, okay, if I say this, what will the other person think about? Right? So that restricts the growth to a large extent. There are people who don't care about this thing. And if you see the ratio, definitely you'll see that people who don't care about others, they do much more
Yeah, yeah,
than what is
absolutely.
expected of them, right? And that's the reason in corporates also, if you see, people are hesitant to ask question. What restricts them to ask question? It's the belief that, okay, my question may be sounding not very logical, or it may
कैसा
be like
लगेगा
a
लोगों को,
silly
क्या पता
question.
बॉस को गुस्सा ना आ जाए, मैं ट्रांसफर ना कर
Exactly.
दे.
So they think a lot about these aspects, that what will people think about me? And that maybe impacts them internally. And that is the pattern that really needs to be broken. And NLP really helps in terms of breaking those patterns.
Okay. So, give us an example where someone's biggest problem at work eventually had a nexus to some conversation that they would have had at home. So, we are trying to link life and career. So, suboptimal performance on the work front or happiness on the work front or in life in general is linked to a conversation that you would be having as a continuous pattern or something that had happened in the past.
Yeah, this one's interesting. There was this one case wherein the manager was not that bad, okay, but still this person, he was like, my manager keeps shouting at me, and he's not able to handle his manager. He's not able to speak in front of his manager. Whenever his manager asks anything, he's not able to respond in the appropriate manner. He's hesitant, he's scared. There are a lot of these things, challenges that he faces in terms of communicating with his manager. So when he came to me and we tried again using some NLP tools, one of them was timeline. It came across that again it was linked to his growing age, wherein he did not had a very cordial relationship with his father. Okay, and the reason he did not had was because his father always kind of demotivated him in terms of, you're not good enough, you're not working appropriate, or you're not studying appropriately, you're not achieving the marks that is required to achieve, so those kind of things. And there was this maybe one instance wherein this manager also told him that you're not good enough for this job, because he was not able to deliver for one of the tasks. I mean, that's a common language that is used in the corporates, right? So there was this manager who said that, okay, you're not good enough. So these kind of, when I started talking about the manager thing, he started saying all these things, that my manager keeps saying me that I'm not good enough for the job, I'm not doing this right, I'm not doing that right, and I'm not able to respond to him in the appropriate manner, though I have done the job, but still I can't speak in front of my manager. And that's when I asked him ki, has it anywhere happened in your past life wherein this kind of things have been told to you in the past? And that's when he came up that, okay, my father used to talk to me like this.
Okay.
And obviously he was young that time, he was not able to reply to his father also. So he was still, because he had this instance in his mind so fresh till today, he still is in that situation and not able to respond to this manager, because he's still stuck there in that situation.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah,
Now,
so we had to,
what did you do then?
so when we worked together, it took us about, say, two sessions, I guess, not much, wherein that thought process had to be reframed. Okay, and that's when he was able to work collaboratively with his manager, responding to his manager in the efficient manner that has to be that was required in the corporate life. And it was all good for him. He was able to communicate, and now he shares a very extremely cordial relationship with the manager. He's pretty happy with the manager, that he's a good manager.
Now, in terms of timelines or complexity, so, and I've tried all of this myself or at some point of my time. When you go for therapy, okay,
Hmm.
therapy, it's a per session kind of a thing where you speak, and then they try to find patterns. It's slow, relatively.
Hmm.
And then they say meditation is also good because it helps you untangle those past patterns and all. But it's a very difficult thing because people, let's say, with very high anxiety levels, when they try to meditate, it becomes all the more thing.
Right.
But NLP kind of says that they will do it much faster. Like you said in the previous answers, in 2 sessions, you are able to crack it. But then is there a catch to this, that it's faster, more effective? But therapy, meditation have been more over the years ingrained into our ecosystem.
See, uh, I also believed in therapies, I would say, and that's the reason I did psychology as well. I did diploma only, but I did went through the psychology thing as well. But like I said earlier, also I did not got my answers what I was looking for. Right? With NLP, what happens is, why things work faster is because NLP works on the exact solution. First of all, uh, with due regard to psychology and therapies, healings, everything, I would say that with therapies, what happens is, if they understand the patterns also, they try to divert your mind, your thoughts. they don't work on the challenges that is actually the problem. They say that, okay, why don't you divert your mind? If this situation is there, you should start working on this thing so that your focus doesn't goes that side, right? Wherein in NLP, I would say that we work on the exact problem. The moment we have identified the problem, because the tools that are used in NLP are much more faster. Like I said, one of the tool which is timeline therapy, we have metaphors, we have peak performance, this thing tools. These are like one few amazing tools that work really faster to understand what the person state of mind is, and once you know the state of mind is, accordingly you can see what tools needs to be applied and get the results faster. And when you work exactly on the problem, the results are much faster as compared to diverting your mind in other this thing aspects.
Okay, fantastic. Now moving to the last section, money. So again, when it
Hmm.
comes to money, what is that one common belief that people inherit from their Indian families? And that turns out to be a very expensive belief in terms of what they could achieve and what they have got.
uh See, money, n- to some extent it can be related to money, but the belief that is inherited again from the parents, I would say, is playing the blame game. So if you see, when you're a child, I mean, now also we also do it unconsciously, we also do it. If a child is fallen, the child is cycling, and the child just fell down off the cycle, whom do we blame? We go to the child, we say, okay, the road was not good, that's the reason you had fallen down, it's not your problem, right? And when we grow up with this thought that it's never our fault, it's always people's fault, or situation fault, or environment fault, it's never our fault. And when we don't see a fault in ourselves, we don't introspect. When we don't introspect, we don't know where the actual problem is. If we are not able to make money, we blame, okay, the manager, if we don't get promotion, we blame the manager, the manager is not good, we are doing fine, it's not our problem, right? If we have invested in something, we may have made the wrong decision, but it's the market, or the situation, other things, other factors that has not worked in that decision. They will not never think that I made a wrong decision to
Yeah, yeah.
invest in that.
That Zakir Khan says na, that self-pity is the best form of luxury which a human consumes. We kind of
Right.
self-pity ourselves in every situation. Okay.
Exactly. So that's one of the greatest belief which which kind of stops us in terms of introspecting ourselves and working on our areas of improvement. Because we always feel it's the person, the other side, who is mistaken or who is wrong. We are perfect. So we don't have to work on ourselves. Because of that one belief that we all are brought up with, it's the other person's fault and not ours.
I am nothing to blame. Right. Now, I see a very common pattern, Gitika, amongst people that they've got a
Hmm.
great salary, very stable
Hmm.
life on the relationships front also. Parents are there, kids are there, wife, everything is fairly okay. But they have a permanent anxiety about money.
Hmm.
Perpetually, what if my job goes? What if this happens? What if this happens? So, when it comes to this deep rooted anxiety around money, what exactly is happening here?
See, again, here, I would say there may be some past instances, again, linked to it, wherein, if you see, life has become much more easier as compared to our parents, that what they went through, right? If you see, they used to kind of walk, say, 2 kilometers to save 2 rupees also. wherein we don't do that. We believe time is money. Let's spend that 20 rupees or 40 rupees or 200 rupees, but stay at home and get things done, right? So the belief, again, what our parents had was that you should always save money. You really don't know when the time comes when you don't have anything, or when a bad situation comes in. There may be anything. They may occur losses, or they may lose their job, or anything of that sort, right? So not everyone would have this kind of anxiety after having money also, but many of them may had a situation in their past wherein the father might have seen a loss overnight. There have been scenarios, right? People lose job overnight, wherein they see that, okay, or people go bankrupt, right? In If they don't save money, if they don't, so that is the kind of anxiety that they have, that okay, today I am doing good, I have my house, but what if some situation comes? And that is what creates anxiety. Over and above this, we also have this 7 psychology needs, each individual, right? And each individual has different priority for those 7 psychology needs. Of those 7 psychology needs are certainty, then you have growth, you have um, certainty, growth,
Yeah, so these,
adventure,
I think, yeah.
challenges. Yeah, those kind of needs you have. So if people are looking for certainty, right? I mean, their need for certainty is extremely high. Then, in any kind of uncertain situation, they will panic more, or their anxiety level will go far more higher as compared to anyone else. So, for example, if there are layoffs are happening in the organization, though this person's job is safe, but because he's seeing uncertainty around, and for him the certainty psychology level is pretty high, he will start having anxiety around it, and that will kind of again restrict him in terms of how he needs to use his savings or stuffs like that, and he may take whatever decision. Again, state of mind, it depends a lot on that.
Understood. Understood. Now, the final question in the money segment, there are a lot of people who have a lot of content inside them in terms of steel inside them, but in terms of financial performance, somewhere they fall right before the finish line. You've seen in schools also that happens. In the pre-board, some guys do very well, but in the board they fall. Similarly, in cricket,
Hmm.
some people do very well in the match practices in the nets, but in the main match they choke. Similarly, here also on the financial front, when it comes to further performance, they choke. Why would that happen?
I have a classic example for this. I had this female in one of the leadership programs again. Not leadership program, it was a manager level program. So wherein this female, we were doing the session, and it so happened that we started talking, and this thing. So she also came up with similar kind of challenges, that every time I prepare well, everything happens, and when I practice, also things goes fine. But when I have to present, I say some or the other sentence, or some comment I make, for due to which we lose that deal or whatever. And again, when I started, so I took her aside. It was though it was a group session, but I took her aside uh, to understand why was this happening, because she gave me a couple of instances wherein this thing happened. So again, I could see a pattern as to why this was happening. So when again I started drilling down, I came to know this was the second day. So when I first day she spoke to me, and even I started thinking as to why would that happen. Then next day, when again I went and spoke to her, that's when during the conversation it came out that she comes from a Marwadi society, okay? And in her society, you know how it is, males are given more preference and stuffs like that. So the thought or the belief in her family was that you should not outgrow your male siblings within the this thing, otherwise it will kind of comes across as a negative thing for them, so you should not do that. And she was the eldermost, this thing. So that was the belief that if she performs, or because of her, if she gets the deal, then again she will outgrow her male siblings within the family, and that's the reason she was making those mistakes.
Deep, absolutely deep. And I've experienced that.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you really experience these things is when you understand that okay. And until then, even I was thinking as to what is stopping her from kind of when she's practicing everything. What is it? I was more curious, I guess, than her to understand what can be the reason. And sometimes curiosity is actually better to kind of give you much larger perspectives in life. So this was one of the perspectives, and I was not too shocked about it because I also belong to the same Marwadi community, so I could understand the thing. But yeah, we worked and then changed the pattern, reframed the scenarios, and she was out of it.
Now, after, let's say, watching this podcast, what would be that one thing that people should question when they ask
Mhm.
themselves, because what is at the core of not getting what I want? So if you have to phrase it,
Mhm.
what is that one thing that people are one shift away from?
Uh, I would say they should actually think of what is the role that they are playing in their life right now, which someone else has had written it for them. It's a deep thing. They should think about it. And they call it a personality.
Ah, okay.
Did you get the question?
Yes. Deep. Again, deep. Okay. Now,
I
in
mean,
terms
this
of,
will actually, if you see, this will actually give them a lot of answers. And this can also bring a lot of shifts in them if they really go deep dive after thinking about this.
and I think it is good, one sometimes you should honestly deep dive and try to see that where am I to blame in this whole picture? Because whatever I can blame in the outside, I cannot change. So let me at
Right,
least see what I have an issue with myself. Okay, now coming to some very,
right.
very quick answers which I will see. So the
Hmm.
ceiling in many cases you think is self-installed. So then how do we
Oh,
handle
definitely.
ourselves during this drill?
See, it's all the ceilings are the beliefs, and until unless you challenge your beliefs, you will not grow. Right? Each time you build a ceiling, you need to see if you've reached the ceiling, and now that ceiling is restricting you to grow further. You should take it off, build another ceiling. So
Okay.
it needs to keep change.
Now let's say there's a situation, very high performance on the external front, but when you go inside, there is complete silence, very loud silence. That person is feeling blank. क्या हो रहा है पता
Hmm.
ही नहीं. And the world feels you've achieved it all, everything done. What is exactly? Is it depression, anxiety, some belief?
um, I would say it's the classic case of burnout, because in just to get or please someone, or to achieve, or to play the role of what you're supposed to play in terms of the responsibilities that you have and stuffs like that, you are doing it, right? And you are maybe achieving success also in those aspects, but from inside, if you're blank, which clearly shows the gap that you have in terms of what you are trying to be versus what you are. That is where you need to identify the gap and start working on it until the time you really kind of break down.
Hmm.
And that is where I told you the 7 psychology needs that plays a vital role in anyone's life.
Okay. Now, if I were to interpret it correctly, therapy will ask you why is this happening. So they will dig
Mhm.
deep into it. But NLP says, okay, now but what are you doing about it? So what does NLP actually make you do about it?
See, first of all, NLP makes you think about it, okay, what the actual problem is. And then they try to shift the belief, what you are coming up throughout your life, basis your experiences and stuff like that, right? It reframes and it lets you see the world with a different lenses. So it's the same situation, but if you see the same situation with a different lens, the solution to it would be different. The outcome may also differ in that ways. So, for example, if I have to give you, if you're operating anything in a negative state of mind, your outcome to that situation will also be negative. Wherein, if you are looking at the same situation with the positive set of mind, you will have your actions positive, and the outcome of that uh, action would also be positive.
Great. I think from a very standard HR career, I think your shift that you have made to NLP will, and in fact, I'm sure it has already changed so many lives in terms of helping people become a better version of themselves. So
Right.
I think I should personally thank you for doing it because honest NLP practitioners are also, because now it has become the cult thing. Everyone has become an NLP coach, and half of them
Right.
have jumped onto the bandwagon because they feel that it's very promising area where money can be earned for themselves, and which I feel is bad because when you become an NLP coach, you kind of take the whole software in your control, that whole person's
Right.
mind. So thank you for doing this job so sincerely. Any final one liner, two liner that you would have that you would share with people?
I would say that uh, anyone and everyone should at least once try to understand. They should, before making any perceptions, you should deep dive in different things and then comment about anything, because like I said, when I talk about NLP, because there's still lack of information around it, people still think that it's in fact there are a lot of people who've told me that you do jadoo tona. Right? And I keep telling them it's not jadoo tona. It's there's a science behind it, right? And when you work and when moreover when you try to understand people, when you know what people are talking about, why are they coming up with that thought process, when you understand that, the conflicts or dealing with people becomes far more easier.
Hmm.
Right. So for example, again, if I have to give, I do one of the training program called the Invisible Conversation. In that training program, your body language, your facial expressions, the words that you use, the tone that you make during the conversation speaks a lot about your traits that you are operating. Okay. And when two people are having a conflict, not necessarily that one of them have to be wrong. It's not necessary. It's just about that basis the trait that they are in right now, that time, the way they are looking at that scenario, they are correct from their standpoint, and this person is again right from his standpoint. It's just that when you understand NLP and you understand anyone's behavior, their body language, things like that, then you don't have a conflict, but you try to bridge the gap
That's also
between
very
the
powerful.
traits.
You're not trying to say that come over to my side or I will come over to our side. Let's find some common
Exactly.
ground and see that we are both at peace
Exactly.
with ourselves. That's
Exactly.
that's a very powerful way that I'll take this conversation forward in and try to implement it in my life. Thank you, Gitika. Thank you so much for sparing time out. These
Mm-hmm.
kind of insights I think are very invaluable because we kind of keep underperforming suboptimal version of ourselves, thinking that it's about hard work, about luck, but sometimes it is also about introspecting and trying to see some patterns. So there was this
Right.
Ye Meri Family, there was this show on YouTube. They had launched a series, and when they asked this person, that therapist in course, that why are you such a hardcore mercenary, devoid of emotions, etc. And then it came that in our childhood, my father just made me jump into water mercilessly. That तभी सीखोगे. And I was so scared, but I had to jump because he was there. One day I got scared. He blasted me again. He made me jump next day. And it those completely transformed because I was adopted. So that was all the more reason for him to be so harsh to me. And that was the core of what I am today. So these kind of
So
things
see,
are,
it again relates.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gitika. Okay.
Thanks so much, Anurag, for having me on this. It was pleasure.